The reason we decided to go for it so early on was really because it reflected the way we operated a business. We read through the standard, we saw there was very little that we thought was a challenge, so it made sense to go for it sooner rather than later and become an early adopter. We've had a very open relationship with BSI through the whole transition process, starting with going to a public meeting where BSI explained their interpretation of the new standard and what it would mean to organisations. We then had a couple of meetings, and including a readiness review, where we prepared for the actual assessment and then going on to the actual assessment itself to transition and make sure we were meeting the requirements of the new standard. I think the new version of the standard is better because it's a lot more explicit about what it requires of leadership, of individuals, what they need to understand about the management system and the implications of not following it. The new standard wasn't too much of a challenge for Costain. It pretty much reflected the way we operate as a business and the way we like to manage our risks. The main challenges we faced were looking at the standard, some of the things that we perhaps weren't aware of. Interested parties was certainly one of those. And the other part was making sure that we'd audited leadership. We've overcome those by conducting desktop assessments and desktop audits to make sure that we are covering all the clauses of the standard through leadership, because we don't necessarily do it in one meeting, it's covered across a variety of means. The new standards actually moved closer to the way we operate, and it was quite refreshing when the new standard came out. It very much mirrored the way we wanted to work and the way we're planning on working in the future. The ISO 9001-2015 standard totally supports the Engineering Tomorrow Costain strategy, which is all about focusing on the customers and meeting the national needs of the UK. ISO 9001-2015 was better for our organisation because it's much more explicit about what it expects from individuals, particularly regarding leadership, being clear about what they're expected to say and do and show, and how they ensure the business is following the risk management principles and meeting customer requirements, but also from the individual and the employee's point of view about understanding the management system and what the implications are if they don't follow it. The top tips I would recommend to anyone who's thinking about adopting the new 9001 standard would be, first of all, to actually get a copy of the standard. It's fairly plain, easy reading. There's a few bits of terminology that are perhaps unfamiliar to people. And the second one is really to speak to BSI, have a chat with them, understand where they're coming from and make sure you're both speaking the same language.